Hello everybody, my name is Oliver Sennhauser and I have the pleasure to present you now MariaDB Point-in-Time-Recovery. Before we start, a question everybody should ask himself: how are you doing your backups? So most of us do backups. Why? Hardware gets broken is one of the answers we hear. So if your hardware breaks, typically with backups you are too slow to fix the hardware. This can take hours or even days to recover. So if you fear that you break your hardware, you need a high availability solution. So another reason why we need backups are logical errors. So this is the most common type of problems you can have in the database. Logical errors means, for example, drop table, truncate table, update or delete. So for this kind of error, we need backup to fix them. So how are we doing backups? There are two different methods how we can fix backups. One method is we call it logical backup, and the tool is MariaDB dump. And the second technology is physical backups. Physical backup would be, in this situation, MariaDB backup. So the topic of this presentation is point-in-time recovery. Some of us do several backups a day, or we can also call it a pulsed backup. So we do a backup, for example, 6 o'clock in the morning, then we wait for some time, then we do another backup 6 hours later at 12 o'clock, then we wait some time, we do another backup at 18 o'clock. So how many hours do you want to wait between the backups? And what is between the backups? And this is where point-in-time recovery comes into play. So the idea of point-in-time recovery is that we can recover all the changes since last full backup by replaying the binary logs. So we must record all database changes after the last backup, or better, all the changes at all, and this is done by enabling the binary logs. So when we enable the binary logs, all the changes in the database are recorded. We can also call it a change log or a journal of the database, and this is done in your MariaDB configuration file by setting the variable log bin. And another variable we strongly recommend to enable is the bin log format equal row. That's not the default in MariaDB. So enabling the binary logs requires a database restart. Let's start with a logical backup we need for the point-in-time recovery. So for a point-in-time recovery, we need a consistent full backup of your MariaDB database. And our recommendation for a logical backup is to do the logical backup with the following MariaDB dump command. Important are the options single transaction and master data equal 1. All the other options are more or less optional. If you do it in that way, you can be sure that your backup works successfully and works as expected. If you do the backup with a physical backup methods, we also need a consistent full backup of your database. And our recommendation for doing a physical full backup is with the tool MariaDB Backup. You have to do it actually in 2 steps, which is the first step, you do the backup, and the second step is the prepare step. So for doing a physical backup, you need a physical access to the database file and the right privileges to access the files. So my personal wish here for the developers is, could we have probably an option called backup and prepare, so we can do both in one step? That would be really nice from the point of view of an administrator. For restoring the backup, it depends how you did the backup. If you did a logical backup, you can simply cat your dump file or uncompress and cat your dump file into the MariaDB client and then wait for some time, and after this time backup is completed. So you are back at the state where you did your backup. If you restore a physical backup, it's a little bit more complicated. First, you have to clean up the contents of your data directory, which is by default varlib MySQL. Then you have to copy back the data from your backup location to the data directory. And finally, if you're working or if you are running with the user root, you have to change the owner of the database file so your backup process can access the files. So my wish to the developers here is, could we please remember the ownership of those files during the backup? So by default, it's recovered with exactly the same ownership than we did the backup. So it's at least one step simpler for restoring the backup. So now we have restored our database and we come to the point-in-time recovery. So what we need for the point-in-time recovery, we need the exact point in time of the backup in the binary log stream. We need binary log file and binary log position. So here I made it graphically. We have our backup, which is restored at 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's what we get after the restore, and now we are missing the other part. So we have to figure out what binary log file at what position belongs to this backup. So now, starting point, how do we get that technically? Starting point for point-in-time recovery. When the backup was done with MariaDB dump, you get at line approximately 22 in your backup, you get this information here. Change master to master log file, then the name of your log file and master log position, a byte position inside this binary log. If you did the backup with MariaDB backup, then you find the binary log file and the binary log position here in your backup in this file called extra backup binlog info, and here again binary log file and the position where you have to start your point-in-time recovery. So with your point-in-time recovery, we have done the full restore. We know the file and the position, and now we want to play back binary log 23, 24, 25, 26, etc. up to the point where you did the logical error. So how do we do technically the point-in-time recovery? For point-in-time recovery, you need another utility called MariaDB binlog. And then in this tool, MariaDB binlog, you have to enter the start position, which is the position in the first binary log you just figured out from your backup. Then you have to enter the stop date time. So this is the date and the time where you want to stop with the point-in-time recovery. And then you have to list all the binary logs in the right order, starting with the binary log you were indicated in the backup until the last binary log you have, or the binary log where your logical error is in. If you want to be a little bit more precise, then stopping at a certain date time, which has a granularity of 1 second, you can add a stop position. So stop position can be used, but then you need MariaDB binlog utility to find exact stop position within the binary log file. So my advice to you is first try against running this command against less and not directly pipe it into your MariaDB database to check if you got the right position at the beginning and the right position at the end. So technically, this is already basically what you have to do. So want to also look a little bit on related topics which are very, very close or similar to point-in-time recovery and to Flashback. So instead of doing all these, restoring the data, figuring out binary log file, binary log position, and then applying all the binary logs up to the end, there could be also another possibility how to fix the problem. So the idea is, what about just fixing the logical error instead of repairing everything? And for this question, there is also an answer in the MariaDB binary log, which is called the binary log flashback. So technically what happens here is we just reverse the DML operation. So all the update, insert, and deletes are reverted. And to do this, we need the binary log format equals row in the configuration of the binary logging. And then how we operate that, you still, again need the tool MariaDB binlog with the option flashback. And then you do start position, which is the position of your oops query, of your logical error query. Then you need the stop position, which is the position where the next good query starts, and then you have to specify the binary log. If you pipe that against your MariaDB database, you need also the force option, and if you pipe that against your MariaDB database, then just the DML command, which went row, will be fixed. Another topic which is a little bit more advanced is point-in-time recovery with global transaction ID. This is a brand new feature which comes in the new still alpha or beta quality MariaDB 10.8 release. So if you do the dump with MariaDB dump --GTID master data equals 1, you see in your dump at line 25 to 29 some other information. You see here change master to master use GTID slave pass, and you see here set global GTID slave pass, and then the GTID of this dump. And then if you want to use GTID point-in-time recovery, you need MariaDB binlog utility with the option GTID strict mode, and then you say start position, GTID where to start, and you say stop position, GTID where to stop. And here you can just indicate all the binary logs which should be executed or searched for this global transaction IDs in the right order. You can pipe it to your MariaDB client. So this looks for me a little bit easier to fix to do a point-in-time recovery. One little difference to the traditional MariaDB point-in-time recovery is that here GTID, stop GTID is inclusive. So compared to the stop position with a normal traditional where the stop position is excluded. As I already said, this feature is brand new. It's not yet even documented, so the only source I found here is the release notes of MariaDB 10.8, and what I also found is here the Jira ticket 4989 on the MariaDB website. And the last topic I want to talk to you is not about point-in-time recovery, but about restoring in general. So now we know how to back up, how do we do restore, how we should do point-in-time recovery. But what about testing your restore? So my personal advice to you is test your restore regularly. why should you test your restore? First of all, your restore might not work at all. And you find it out much, much, much later. You find it out when you need it, and not then when you have done it. Then another reason is why you should test your restore is that the restore can take very, very, very long time. So you should also test your mean time to repair, or in modern terms, it's called recovery time objective, recovery point objective. So what it technically means, in what time can you restore your database, and to what point can you restore your database? So this is something you do not want to figure out during your restore and during your point-in-time recovery. This is something you already want to know before you start with your restore and point-in-time recovery. And the last reason why you should test your restore regularly is, if you do it regularly, you get experience, you know it works, you become more calm, and you know how to do it. So my advice to you, please test regularly your restore. So once a quarter at least would be a very, very good idea. So finally, I have said everything which is important for MariaDB point-in-time recovery, the old style and the new style. And now I'm open for your questions, for discussions, and we still have some time for personal talks, so please just contact me.
How often should you make a full backup of the database?
Yeah, so it depends a little bit on the recovery time objective. So when you can do a full restore and a point-in-time recovery and you meet your requirements, then one backup is sufficient. One backup a day is sufficient.
I see.
Depends. Yeah.
But in terms of point-in-time recovery, is there a too longer interval that are there any limitation that you need to take into account for a larger interval? I mean, if you do a full backup once a week, is it feasible to have point-in-time for a week?
So technically it's possible. The question is, how long will it take? So if you have a system which is highly loaded, the point-in-time recovery theoretically can take as long as the original time span from your last backup takes. So let's say you do on Saturday, you do a backup, and then you have to do on Saturday a restore, and you have to do a point-in-time recovery of 6 days. Then theoretically it can take 6 days in worst case. So that's something you have to figure out. How long will it take? The main reason I have mentioned this here is that many of our customers do not even know that there is a point-in-time recovery. So they do 4